The collision sent the soft tissue of my brain slamming into the inside of my skull. Just think about that for a second. Imagine a totally normal high school day derailing in a fraction of a second. Before you even realize what's happening, a classmate takes a full swing, the bat slips right out of his hands, and it strikes you directly between the eyes. It's this visceral, chaotic reality of a baseball bat to the face, coming completely out of nowhere.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going on a deeply personal, absolutely incredible journey together. We're going to trace a path from the terrifying, darkest depths of a medically induced coma all the way to the absolute peak of professional performance. We'll be breaking down the true story of James Clear and the phenomenal, highly practical mechanics behind his methodology. Get ready because we're going to see exactly how the smallest, seemingly insignificant shifts can completely rewrite the entire trajectory of your life.
Section 1. The devastating impact. A rapid escalation. To truly appreciate the mountaintop, we first have to look at the sheer cliff face the author had to climb just to get back to a baseline existence.
Okay, let's dive into the rapid, honestly terrifying escalation of this injury, because things went from bad to critically life-threatening in the blink of an eye. At 0 seconds, the bat shatters his nose into a distorted U-shape, fracturing his skull and eye sockets. Within just 10 minutes, his brain is swelling so rapidly he can't even remember his own mother's name, and he loses consciousness. By the 1-hour mark, he's lost the ability to swallow and breathe, requiring an emergency helicopter flight to a larger hospital. And fast forward to 24 hours later, after suffering multiple post-traumatic seizures, the doctors are forced to put him into a medically induced coma.
Section 2. Rebuilding with tiny habits. The agonizing recovery. Coming out of that coma was actually just the very beginning of a painfully slow road back. To give you a real sense of the physical trauma here, simply blowing his nose forced air through his facial fractures, literally pushing his eyeball out of its socket. It took him 8 long months just to be able to drive a car again.
The road back was, well, it was absolutely brutal. He suffered from double vision for weeks, and a year later, the reality of his physical limitations hit him incredibly hard. See, growing up, he had these huge dreams of playing professional baseball, just like his dad. So the stark contrast between those pro dreams and the humiliating reality of being cut from the varsity baseball team, demoted to junior varsity, is just heartbreaking. He actually vividly remembers sitting in his car, crying, just flipping through the radio after getting that news. But, this is exactly where the turnaround begins. When he finally gets to college at Denison University, he couldn't control the big picture, right? He couldn't just magically become a starting player overnight, but he started regaining his confidence through these microscopically boring tiny steps. While his peers were staying up super late, he intentionally built good sleep habits. He made a point to keep his dorm room completely neat. He started lifting weights multiple times a week. Basically, he seized control of the little things.
And those little things compounded in a huge way. By his senior year, he was selected as the top male athlete at his entire university. But the true, unbelievable triumph came 6 years after waking up from that coma. Out of everyone in the country, he was one of only 33 players named to the ESPN Academic All-America team. It was just a total, absolute fulfillment of his potential.
Section 3. The Science of Small. The Framework. So, how did he actually do it? Let's execute a bit of a narrative pivot here, shifting from his athletic comeback to the exact scientific framework that made all of it possible. Because what he learned rebuilding his life applies to literally every single one of us. This brings us to James Clear's highly acclaimed methodology from his book, Atomic Habits. The subtitle alone, Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results, really shifts our entire perspective. Too often, we convince ourselves that massive, earth-shattering success requires massive action. We're always looking for the heroics, but Clear proves that the real magic actually lies in just 1% improvements.
An atomic habit is defined as a tiny change, a marginal gain, a 1% improvement that serves as the fundamental building block of a larger system of compound growth. I want to make sure we grasp this completely. These are not just random, disconnected routines you do every now and then. They are literally the atoms, the fundamental building blocks that construct a massive system designed to produce remarkable results over time.
So the absolutely crucial point is this shift in focus right here. We spend so much of our lives completely obsessed with our goals, the end results we want to achieve. But Clear argues that systems, the daily processes that actually get you there, are what truly matter. Listen to this. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems.
If you want better results, forget about setting goals for a minute and focus entirely on building your system.
Section 4. The Plateau of Potential. Surviving the Valley. Now, we have to acknowledge a very real, incredibly common frustration here. It's that awful feeling professionals get when they start a new, healthy habit, put in all of the grueling work, and then don't see immediate, tangible results. And this concept brilliantly illustrates exactly why we quit. We all intuitively expect our progress to be linear, right? Like a straight line steadily going up and to the right. But reality is a slow, curved line that actually dips way beneath those expectations at first. That slow pace of early transformation traps us in what's called the valley of disappointment. We put in the work, we don't see the results, and we feel like we're totally failing. But you aren't failing at all. You just haven't crossed the critical threshold yet.
Change can take years before it happens all at once. You know, the San Antonio Spurs have this amazing quote hanging in their locker room. It's about a stonecutter who hammers at a rock 100 times without a single crack showing. But on the 101st blow, the rock splits right in two. The invisible tension is building with every single repetition, even when absolutely zero cracks are showing. That work isn't wasted. It's simply being stored up.
If you stick with it, notice how relentless repetition pushes that progress curve steadily upward. The ultimate goal of any habit is to eventually cross the threshold of automaticity. This is when the level of conscious activity in your brain actually decreases and a behavior becomes completely automatic and effortless. That right there is when the real exponential power unlocks.
Section 5. Building better workflows. Applying principles. So I want to break the fourth wall for a second and ask you directly. How can you apply these exact principles to your own corporate environments and team cultures? Because this isn't just about personal fitness or reading more books. It is absolutely about optimizing how we work together every single day.
One incredible corporate application of this is a concept known as addition by subtraction. Back in the 1970s, Japanese electronics companies totally revolutionized their manufacturing through one core, incredibly simple idea. They looked for every single point of friction in their process and they eliminated it. They literally added revenue simply by subtracting wasted effort. So if you want to build a better workflow for your team, decrease the number of steps between your team and their good habits. Make it easy.
Now, what's really interesting here is a tool called the 2-minute rule. When you're trying to establish a new workflow, excitement can actually be a trap because it makes you start way too big. The rule states that any new habit should take less than 2 minutes to do. So instead of saying, I need to write a massive report, you say, I will open a new document. Read before bed simply becomes read one page. Study for class becomes open my notes. Scaling down a habit in this way stops preparation from becoming procrastination. It creates a seamless gateway habit.
Because look, the hard truth is right here. You have to standardize before you can optimize. A team absolutely must master the basic, often boring skill of just showing up consistently before they can even worry about perfecting their complex workflows. You literally cannot improve a habit that doesn't exist yet. Make it incredibly easy to start, do it consistently, and then, and only then, do you optimize it. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Building a system of atomic habits ultimately comes down to your identity. Are you a professional who sticks to the schedule, or an amateur pulled off course by the daily urgencies of life? Because professionals take action even when the mood isn't right. As you look to implement these systems in your own life and work, ask yourself, how are you going to become the kind of person who never misses twice? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this sparks the beginning of your own remarkable results.